So we don't have to worry about the integrity of copyrights. In fact, he's given me a 10-page handout that we will have printed for you when you check in. So it's his material. He's the author. And if you have purchased the book and you want to bring it, I'm sure he will sign it for you. The book is actually more of a workbook. It's a 10-week manifestation process through the 10 spheres of creation, but you don't need it for the event. So just bring your sweet self and an open mind, and let's sit back and enjoy our Saturday evening. I think it's going to be fabulous. Also coming up this Saturday, during the day, our very own Salam is facilitating a study of Don Miguel Ruiz's book, The Four Agreements. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. It's a 4-week study group starting this coming Saturday, March 2nd. No, is that the 4th? 4th, from 10 to 11:30, and it will be here at the church in the fellowship hall. Registration is $40, and it is limited to 12 participants. You will need a copy of the book, The Four Agreements, for that class, and Salam would like for you to have read chapters 1 and 2 in preparation for this Saturday, the first class. And then she'll give you a homework assignment from there on in. I took the class before. It's fabulous. The Sonic Sisters, Basha and Pinocchio, are coming back with their unique sound and healing meditation. They will be here March 19th from noon to 12:45 in the sanctuary, and registration is $20. You can see me in person, or you can use your credit and debit card online. Also, did you mark your calendar for March 26th? That's the day of the annual meeting. This meeting is mandated by our bylaws, and it's also part of our requirement as a California nonprofit corporation. So it will be after we've had a chance for food and fellowship. We'll see the year in review. We'll talk about what's happening for the future. And it's also a time when the members will elect the new board members, the Board of Trustees. So it takes place on that Saturday. When you come to church, I'm sure you've noticed it's a little chilly in the winter and it's a little warm in the summer. And Reverend Greg talked a little bit about that earlier. Do you have any more you want to add to that?
No, I think we hit it pretty hard.
Okay, so we're starting our Fire and Ice campaign, and we would really encourage and appreciate your support as we move through replacing some of these heating and cooling units so that we're comfortable and not sweltering in the summer or shivering in the winter. Also, Reverend Greg's class, which was actually previously scheduled for today, has been moved to April, the last 2 Sundays. We're going to get a double hitter. April 23rd and April 30th. So it'll give you some time in between for some reflection and some review and some questions if questions come up. So we'll tell you a little bit more about that later. It is the end of April. And now moving on, Bill is our prayer chaplain for the day. He's going to be leading us in prayer and meditation. But first, Salam is going to share the daily word. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Sunday. February 26, 2023. Let go, let God. I bravely release outworn behaviors and embrace my bright, brilliant future. Holding to what no longer serves me because it is familiar and I have grown accustomed to it may stall my growth. I evolve much more quickly when I trust my guidance and release old patterns and behaviors. In my heart, I know that when I move away from a dysfunctional relationship, a negative attitude, or unhealthy way of living, I move toward something greater: peace, safety, harmony, freedom, and fulfillment. I let go of anxiety or fear and open myself to happiness and security. I breathe in freedom. My heart becomes buoyant and my steps lighter. I set my intention today to release anything I have been fearful of letting go so that I can confidently move forward, open to infinite good. From the scriptures, truly, I tell you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosened in heaven. Matthew chapter 8, 18.
Here I am, a vessel to be used. Whatever Spirit needs of me, I will be, I will be, I will be. Here I stand, my heart is here to serve. Wherever love is leading me, I will go, I will go, I will go. Here I am, a vessel to be used. Whatever Spirit needs of me, I will be, I will be, I will be. Here I stand, my heart is here to serve. Wherever love is leading me, I will go, I will go, I will go.
Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Mitch. Good morning. What I'm thinking is, I'm hearing in my head, I am so prepared, so prepared. So, if we just take a few deep breaths, just to center ourselves, and again, deeply. Releasing everything, knowing we are in the right place, the right time, the right seat. And if we say the prayer of St. Francis with me. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there's injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. O divine God, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying for life. So in meditation yesterday and today, I thought of what story would I bring today, a moment in my life that maybe you too have been in a similar position, where it was challenging, and I had great fear of failing, a great fear of my responsibility for that failure, and anger. I remember sitting in my car many years ago, hands on the steering wheel, engine running. I'm about to back up, and I am so overwhelmed with fear and dread. Just felt doomed. And as I thought about my responsibility, I got angry. I got so angry I just stomped on the gas pedal, and my car took off in reverse, and I ran into a light post. And it just crushed the back of my car. And when I got out, I thought, oh my God, I just made it worse. I looked around. No one was there, just me. Me and my thoughts. I looked at the light pole, there was no damage. My car had a basketball-sized dent in it. And I left. I had a meeting with attorneys. I was going through a divorce. And I was sitting in my car, and again, the fear, the shame, but the anger was gone. And I prayed. I said, God, please don't let my ex-wife take anything from me that she does not deserve. And God, please don't let me take anything that I don't deserve. It's something I never said before it came to mind. God, I want this to be a win-win for everyone. The attorneys, and she and I, our families, something that I could look back and know I did the right thing. So from this challenge and fear, I learned a lesson. Yeah. God just said to me, Bill, you're ready for this. You got this. I'm with you. And now, if you close your eyes and just think the lessons that our challenges have taught us, the power of prayer, and we're not alone. if you slowly open your eyes and come back. I did leave a piece out of my story. When I left that meeting, everyone was happy except my attorney, because I said, I agree with what my wife wants, and this is what I want. And her attorney said, that's fantastic. My attorney said, I don't like it. And I said, but it's done. Lesson learned. We're not alone. Thank you.
Rows and floors of angel hair and ice cream castles in the air and feathered canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. So many things I could have done, but clouds got in my way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's clouds illusions I recall. I really don't know clouds at all. Moons and Junes and Ferris wheels, the dizzy dancing where you feel when every fairy tale comes real. I've looked at love that way, but now it's just another show. You leave them laughing when you go, and if you care, don't let them know. Don't give yourself away. I've looked at love from both sides now, from give and take, and still somehow it's love's illusions I recall. I really don't know love at all. Tears and fears and feeling proud to say I love you right out loud. Dreams and schemes and circus crowds. I've looked at life that way, but now old friends are acting strange. They shake their heads, they say I've changed. Well, something's lost and something's gained in living every day. I've looked at life from both sides now, from win and lose, and still somehow it's life's illusions I recall. I really don't know life. I've looked at life from both sides now, from win and lose, and still somehow it's life's illusions I recall. I really don't know love.
So I know that standing ovation was for both Mitch and Allison, because every time Allison sings that song, generally, if she has a moment, she says, "Thank you, Mitch, for the arrangement." And thank you both for putting that together. I think that there are very few people who can sing that song in the way it was intended to be sung, maybe even push the envelope of the way Joni Mitchell sang it. And you do that, Allison. That was just beautiful. Yeah. I think that the first time you sang that song at all was at Victoria's memorial service. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's really incredible. Well, it's just an incredible song, and thank you. And it fits in exactly with what I want to talk about today, because there's a little bit about the truth talk today that deals with perspective. And I think that the way you look at the clouds, the way you look at life, the way you look at relationships, the way you look at one another is a perspective issue. And I think that essentially that's what Jesus came to teach. He taught a perspective. And so we're going to be talking about that in a little bit. But first I want to say that a person who changed my perspective this last couple of days was a guy by the name of Charles DeTurk. And Charles, if you're on the live stream, hey, good to see you, although I can't see you. But Charles gave me a telephone call, and we had a wonderful conversation. We talked about some of the Unity history, and we talked about him watching this particular service from the Eastern Seaboard area. So he's on live stream on Sundays. And so he gave me a telephone call and told me all about the history that he has with Steve. Steve being in the Youth of Unity program so many years ago, and he being the president of the Youth of Unity program, and how he used to share space, share a room with Tom Butterworth. Tom Butterworth was the oldest son of Eric Butterworth, and you've heard me talk about Eric Butterworth a lot, because although I never met Eric Butterworth, I consider him to be a teacher. He truly is a teacher of mine. I really love his stuff. I like to listen to his voice, him talking about the things that he loved so dearly. I absolutely adore his perspective on unity, his perspective on life, and I think he's a great teacher. So we talked about Eric Butterworth. And we talked all about the books that Charles DeTurk has written, too. If you look him up on the internet, I think he's got 5 books that he has published. And Charles is spelled as Charles would normally be spelled, but DeTurk is capital D-E, capital T-U-R-K. And you'll see some of the issues that he writes about. He's a very prolific writer. And so we had a wonderful talk about Eric Butterworth and perspective. And that's interesting, too, because Eric Butterworth talks about, and he talked about often, the love that he had for Easter and the lead up to Easter and the perspective that he would take during Easter, which is one of growth. You know, I've talked to a lot of people about the idea of Easter and Lent, and, you know, why we celebrate Lent, why we even pay attention to Lent, why do we spend the 40 days paying attention to Lent? And the answers I get are illuminating, and I agree with them. Lent is a time for us to focus on things that bring us into that space of perspective, which make our lives better. Lent is a time to focus on practices, whether it be letting go or allowing, saying yes to certain things and then deciding not to deal with others. We call that denial, where we let go of things. And Lent is usually a season of fasting, and the letting go of things is kind of a fasting of ideas. And so Lent is about that. And if we do it for 40 days, it's actually 46 days. If we do Lent for 46 days, we're going to develop a habit of being in this contemplative state, of connecting with this source of all, of feeling the idea that you are aware of something that powers everything, that is everything, that is the greatness and goodness of your life, and that your focus will be on that. So Eric Butterworth talks about that, and it all has to do with perspective. I mean, he goes so far as to say things like this. He said, look, nobody's ever met God in person. People who want to go and find God are going to be disappointed because he's not going to be standing there and engaging in conversation with you. He's not a person. He's a perspective. God is a perspective, and once you find that perspective, you know, absolutely know that you have met God, that you've embodied God, that you understand this power, this resource, this creative energy. He says it's a perspective. And he talks about how, you can look out a hotel room window and you can see something that looks less than beautiful and say, boy, am I in the wrong room? I mean, I'm sure some people have better rooms than this. And then go over to the window that has drapes blocking it, open up the drapes and see that beautiful snow-covered mountain is on the other side of the room. The different perspective. The beauty is there. You need just shift what you're looking at and what you're focusing on. And I love that idea. I mean, I had a similar situation. Oh, by the way, I consider, this is about Jesus as teacher. I consider Jesus to be an amazing teacher, but you know what? All through my years of studying Jesus as a very young child, I would not allow his teaching to permeate my being. I didn't get it. It was something that I felt was forced on me when I ended up in a Sunday school classroom. They'd talk about things that I really didn't understand. I didn't understand this whole business because it seemed to be wrapped up in stuff that I just couldn't really grasp in a way that probably a kid, I don't know if any kid can grasp it. I really don't. When they talked about me being sinful, I just sort of turned off, and that I needed some way in order to convince God that I shouldn't be tortured for the rest of my life in this burning fire pit. And those things didn't make any sense to me, and so the way out didn't make sense to me either because I didn't understand how any of that could be what God wants for me or you or anything if God was good. So all that was hard for me to grasp. I didn't really take a good look at the teachings of Jesus so that I could bring them into my life and gain a new perspective which would change everything. But that's what he was trying to do. That's what Jesus came to earth to do, to bring a new perspective so that we could be aligned in a way that we hadn't been aligned with this thing called life. So let me give you my little perspective story that kind of has to do with the hotel room window. I occasionally get to travel and put on conferences. And one of the conferences that I put on, or help put on, is in Las Vegas. And it's a beautiful hotel that we have it in. It's the Bellagio. And the attendees are all lawyers. And what I do is I teach competency in several different sessions to a lot of these lawyers. So there are thousands of lawyers there, and sometimes I'm in the big room, which allows me to talk to all of them at one time. But it's a great opportunity for me to talk about the things that are important in life for lawyers to understand, because lawyers get all caught up in the idea that they have to make money and they have to follow timelines and schedules, and the stress and anxiety gets so huge that they find themselves decompensating, they find themselves not functioning well in life. And so we have to in some way set boundaries for ourselves in this profession, and I try and help them to do that. So at this particular conference, I have this suite. It's called a wellness suite. And in the wellness suite, I set out all kinds of materials so that people can understand what it is that I'm trying to teach, I'm trying to relay, I'm trying to allow you to see the truth in this, or those people that are there. And it's a beautiful suite that's usually provided, a beautiful suite. And in this the last time at the Bellagio, last September, I was given this beautiful suite on the 24th floor. I mean, probably 1,000 square feet in this suite, with everything that you would ever need. And after the first day, I noticed some real loud noise in the walls of the room up there on the 24th floor, and I could hear people banging and, workmen or women talking about things I couldn't understand. And then I heard the rush of water. And I thought, oh, this must be some sort of a plumbing problem that they're having in this building. And the rush of water became louder and louder and louder, and pretty soon the water started leaking out of the bottom of the floor in the suite that I was in, and it was not clear water. This was getting rough. It was getting rougher by the minute. And pretty soon I'm trying to find ways to keep from stepping in all of the water that's in the suite, and I'm gathering up all my stuff so that I can, get out of there before I find myself inundated with whatever it was that was coming out of the walls. And it started coming out of the ceiling, too. So I made a quick telephone call and said, this is happening here. And they said, oh my gosh, let's see what we can do about it. And they sent up some Bell people to help me gather all my stuff. And during this holiday weekend, the Bellagio, and with all the people that were there, the hotel was pretty doggone full. You can imagine how full a convention of 3,000 lawyers could make that hotel. And so I found myself down at the main desk saying, what are we going to do? I mean, how are we going to make this happen? And the manager says, well, we got this one room. We call it a suite. It's because it's got 2 very large bathrooms on both sides of the room. But she says, I like it. I really, really like it. And it's on the 4th floor, not the 24th floor. And here are the keys to it, so you can go on in. So I went in, and I took a look at that room, and it looked like it had been shut down since Elvis was alive. I mean, the curtains were, by the way, one entire wall was covered with curtains from ceiling to floor, and they were like red velvet curtains, that had this sheen of dust on them, And I'm thinking, what the heck? This is an artifact of the Bellagio Hotel that maybe nobody's ever seen. I don't know. And the furniture was old style, and the bed that was in that suite was sort of blocked from the living room area by this modern style bookcase. And as I went around the other side of the bookcase, I noticed that the bed faced directly to the curtains. And I thought, oh, what the heck? Here, right in front of me, the curtains are, right here in this bed. And so I set the whole thing up, and I got ready for bed, and I tried to open the curtains. The curtains wouldn't open up. I didn't realize that they were attached to this, electric curtain thing. Have you ever been to Vegas? They like to do everything, electric. And so I finally found the remote for the curtains. Remotes are hard enough for TVs, but for curtains, So I laid down in bed, and I opened up the curtains, and the curtains kept on opening all the way to either side. And then it happened. The Bellagio fountain, whoosh, right up in front of me. Where this was at the base of the Bellagio fountain, it was like I was in some sort of underwater world of fantasy. It was unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. I was in the water show. I'm in the water show. I thought to myself, what a room! Oh my God! I've never been in a room like that ever. My perspective shifted immediately. I thought, what? I pull out my phone, I'm taking pictures, I'm thinking, this is incredible. In the distance is the Eiffel Tower, for crying out loud. Not the real one. You know, they built one in Las Vegas, but there on the other side of the fountain was the Eiffel Tower and all the other beautiful buildings and the lights. And I thought, what an amazing place. You probably would have to pay a ton of money to stay in a place like that, you know? I mean, this is the only room like it in the entire city of Las Vegas, and here I am, you know, right in front. And it became clear to me that was the reason for the curtains. That was the reason for the huge window, you know? It was all really built around that particular view, and my perspective of it changed. And from thinking that I had just been done dirty, you know, I'd gotten this broom closet of a hotel room, wouldn't be functional at all, to, oh my God, this is amazing. I didn't know there would be rooms like this. And so I have made it my goal to try and get that room every year now. And it's small, it's not large, but that's the one I want. You know, that's the one. The perspective completely and totally changed. You know, so when I was reading some Eric Butterworth and listening to his talks, he was talking about perspective and how Easter brings on a new perspective for him, how Lent brings on a new perspective for him. I thought, man, I get that hotel room. You know, I get that window thing. I get the preconceived ideas that we develop for ourselves that can stop us from our good. It's all happening up here. It's all happening up in this space, you see. So we're here to talk about Jesus today because the lead up to Easter is about some of the things that Jesus taught, some of the things that we need to know, some of the things that we hopefully will allow ourselves to understand. And so I made a list of some of the things that Jesus taught. How many teachers are in here, by the way? Teachers, retired teachers? We got a lot of them. I know we do. Yeah, you know, there are teachers that changed my life. And then there are teachers that I wouldn't listen to if you paid me a lot of money. There are teachers out there who actually made the subject matter so uninteresting that I was determined never, ever, ever to study it again. Have you ever had those teachers? Yes. All right. So, I mean, it can reach both sides of the spectrum, though. And then I had teachers that inspired me to do some things that I never thought I could do. You know, there was a creative writing teacher in high school, and I sort of took the class as a throwaway class, but he was the most impactful teacher I think I've ever had in my life. And he absolutely adored the idea of going far afield with ideas and creating stories out of things that people ordinarily wouldn't even think about. And so when I started to do that, he encouraged it. And it changed my life, changed my perspective on what it is that, you know, we could do in this world. We don't always have to walk down that path that's been set before us by people who don't even know us. And you know, this is what Jesus is talking about. These are the things that Jesus is giving us in the lifetime, the short lifetime that he had. And the things I'm going to talk about right now, you don't even have to be Christian to know that they're the right things to do. You don't even have to be Christian to recognize that these things, if you do them, will change your perspective on life. It'll change the way you look at the world. It'll change the way you look at people. It will change your experience here on earth from the hell that maybe you've made it to the heaven that you'd like to see. To the heaven that you'd like to see. So this list is pretty cool, you know. And when you look at the Bible and you look at the teachings of Jesus or anyone, and you're trying to narrow it down to what it is that was taught, it becomes a different assignment, if you will. It becomes a different assignment. You're not looking at the totality. You're just looking at what it is that was said, what it is that was done, how it is that we could take a look at these things and internalize them and gain a different perspective. So here's the easy one, right? Love one another. I say that tongue in cheek. This is the easy one, right? Love one another. Oh my God. You know, it sounds easy, but it's not. It's very, very simple, which is how Jesus liked to teach. But love one another, that's a tough one. That's a really tough one. I mean, do you know the people I know? Do you know who's in my family? Do you know my neighbors? No, you don't. But you know what? I can develop a new perspective. You know, you can tell me to love one another, and I find that to be really, really hard, but I can develop a new perspective of how that can be done. And you know, the new perspective of how that can be done is really shines in unity, because that perspective of how that can be done is all around the idea that we are one, that when I look at you, I'm looking at me. You know, when I look at each and every one of us, I'm seeing that part of the whole, that humanity which is truly divinity in disguise. We're all just working through this life in our own way, the way that we know best, and sometimes it's messy. We're all learning things as we go. We're evolving. We're leveling up. We're growing, and during that growing process, there's trouble. From time to time, there's trouble. And we just cannot kick ourselves around that, the mistakes that we made. How can we kick others? I mean, that idea, that viewpoint, that truth that we are all one helps us to understand this process of loving one another. How can we do that? Well, you know, there are teachings out there that try and give us that perspective. Forgive everything, that's hard too. But the perspective that I have always found works for me is that, you know, every single one of us is growing. Every single one of us is moving through these levels of development. And some people who are 30 years old act like they're 6 years old. But I wouldn't treat a 6-year-old with the kind of contempt that I sometimes feel for that 30-year-old that doesn't seem to get it. You know, and it may be that 30-year-old is sick, and it may be that they're growing, and it may be that there's something going on in their lives that they need to move through. I don't know. I can't say. But I need to go with it. I need to recognize and understand that that's not me. That's what you're going through. I'm here to support you in that endeavor. And that goes for everybody. I mean, that goes for somebody who holds completely different views religiously, politically. It's wherever you are. I'm glad we met. This is how Jesus reacted to everything. Whoever you are, I'm glad we met. Oh, yeah, so you're not one of my kind. These are the people I need to talk to. See, Jesus was talking to not just the Jews of the day, but he was talking to Romans and pagans, people with different ideologies, people with different backgrounds, people who did not have commonalities at all, villages to village, village to village, tribe to tribe. Some could understand, some couldn't, but he was talking to everyone, not just to a certain group of people. Everyone, come on and join. I mean, he truly was living this idea of loving one another. He also said, include one another. Include one another. Sometimes that can be tough too, you know. It really can. When I was the chief executive officer of hospitals and institutions, you would think that everybody would like to see others get well, but they don't want you in their neighborhood. They don't. They don't. Oh, you have sick people in this neighborhood? I mean, you're a danger to our community? I mean, these are not people that I would ordinarily interact with. I mean, you are running a hospital with patients who are there because of mental health conditions, and you want to call that safe? I mean, you would think that people would just adore the idea that the sick are being healed. But no, not in my neighborhood. Inclusivity is tough. It is a tough concept. And it can't just be had by saying, you need to accept everybody. It can't be had just by saying that, particularly when you see the differences, such stark differences. But unity, here in unity, we know that once again, that same idea that we incorporated so that we could love one another, is inherent in this idea that we love to have you with us while that's happening, so that we can support you in a way that you've never been supported before. Inclusivity, a tough one. That's what he wanted us to do. He wanted us to help one another, to feed one another. And these are the things that he actually did, rather than just say them. He didn't say, you need to feed those that are hungry. He fed the 5,000, who were there, by the way, mainly because they were there to eat. They would follow him because he knew that they would be fed, but they liked the message too. I mean, sometimes we have to attract people in a different way, right? So today we got X, Y, and Z, right? Those are the people making the magnificent food that bring us together after this service. But Jesus did these things. Jesus exampled these things. He said we should pray with one another. And when we pray with one another, what we do is we change the way we think. Look, if I can pray for my enemies, they're no longer my enemies. That's how you love your enemies. There are little tricks that in some programs, and I'm going to talk about this for just a moment. Alcoholics Anonymous is one of them. And I have many, many years of familiarity with the traditions and ideas of recovery from an alcoholic condition. But the way that we do these things is to see things differently. We change our perspective. When we say that we need to pray for one another, it sounds like that's a nonsensical thing to do. But if you can't get over a resentment, you can't get over something that somebody does or has done to you, then start praying for them and do it all the time and see how that changes things. I know Jesus was up to something. He was certainly up to something here. Let's give you strategies for doing this right. So what else did he say? He said, be an example to all. Wow, how do you do that? Well, you just recognize that life brings an abundance. Don't complain. Stay on the positive side of things. Be non-resistant. And we've gone over the non-resistant philosophy or principle. And that's one that we talked about being as a result of Eric Butterworth's love for that non-resistance principle, turning the other cheek, going the extra mile, giving the coat and the cloak, because you need some freedom in this exercise, you see. And if somebody's going to make you go a mile, then go two, doggone it, go two, because that second one was your choice. And all of a sudden, you have choice and freedom in the matter. You're not just always being pushed around by what somebody's demanding of you. Do you understand the principle? Yeah? How that can be non-resistance? It's great stuff. It's really top-notch thinking, and it aligns with Jesus' teaching. So here we go. We were taught contemplative practice and simplicity in that practice. Simplicity. I mean, these things I've been talking about are simple. Like I said, they're not easy. They're simple. But these are the things that Jesus brought to us. And as a teacher, you probably know, you guys, as I know, that sometimes people aren't going to listen. We talked about that. And a lot of people haven't. A lot of people haven't listened to this. Do you know what we call this in Unity? Exactly what I've been talking about here. Do you know what we call it? We call it practical Christianity. Practical Christianity. And the reason why we call it practical Christianity is because these are the things that we actually do to say, I'm a Christian. Rather than just say, oh, I'm a Christian. And if they didn't say that, you'd have no idea that they even knew that there was a word that said Christian. Because these ideas, these teachings, the things that Jesus brought to us, the things that he said, do these things, and my words, your perspective will change. They don't do them. I'm not being harsh with them. I recognize and know that they're moving through their own struggles. And perhaps one day they will find a way to make these things happen in their lives. And I'm down for that, and I'm here to help. I really am. I'm here to try to be an example, and I know each and every one of you are too. But these are the things that will change your life. If you do these regularly as a practice, they will change your life. These are the things that we practice during Lent. In Keep a True Lent, there are some things that you do each and every day. And the things that you do each and every day are the things that Charles Fillmore did each and every day. And Charles Fillmore was a big believer in the teachings of Jesus. The teachings. So this is a time. This is the first Sunday in Lent. We did an Ash Wednesday service. How many were there for that Ash Wednesday service? Wasn't that fun? That was so much fun. We just had a great good time singing together, enjoying one another together, understanding that we're in this together, that there's really only one life. That life is God's life, and let's all live it now. You know? Don't feel that you're separate, because you're not. Gosh, it was fun. That was the beginning of Lent. Lent's going to travel for 46 days, and then we're going to get to Easter. And we're going to talk about Easter. And oh boy, 2 reasons I like that. Easter Sunday was the first time I spoke to you guys 2 years ago. 2 years ago. And Easter Sunday is always a topic that I love. So, Jesus as teacher. Just like with any teacher, you can accept, you can have an open mind, or you can push it away and say, sorry, not today. I say, if we're going to be that example, let's accept. Let's say yes. All we have to do is say yes, which is what Eric Butterworth says is the greatest expression of faith that we can have. So I'm going to say, I'm thankful for each and every one of you. If you're live streaming, Charles, hey. Oh, they're on. Right on. Fantastic, Jackie. I appreciate that. And I love you. Namaste. Oh, look at this. Oh, yeah. We got Charlene. We got Sue. We got Donna. We got Audrey. We got Charles. And they've probably been telling you that the sound is good. Can hear everything. Isn't that nice? And that's one of the things we've had trouble with. So didn't I tell you, if you build it, they will come? If you build it, they will come? Yeah. Oh, you know, let me tell you, this is a quote that I heard for the first time through Charles Butterworth. And it's a Chinese proverb. And it goes like this, and it's all about this. Keep a green bough in your heart, and the singing bird will come. See? That's what we do when we live stream. Keep a green bough in your heart, and the singing bird will come. So Millie, thank you. Millie, come on forward. Millie's our singing bird. Oh, look. This is so I get to participate as well. What we do is we have our community giving, and our community giving is all about from the love in our heart to something that we just absolutely love and treasure. And this community is one of those things. You know, what we do is we keep this idea alive, and it permeates not only this building, but out into the community, and it enriches the lives of anybody who can hear it, anybody can show up. In fact, I'm of the belief that the consciousness we hold in here is helping people as we speak. And so I give to it. Please say with me, God is the source of my overflowing supply, and I am grateful. And so it is.
I close my eyes, I open my heart, I take a deep breath, let the healing start. I lift my hands, I plant my feet, I let love in, I feel the beat, it's calling us to rise. rise, Spirit, rise in me. I lift my soul, I clear my mind. I'm here and now, in present time. I feel the power of 1,000 suns lighting up the dark. Oh, we rise as one, rise, oh, rise, Spirit, rise up, rise in me, oh, rise, rise, Spirit, rise up, rise in me, rise in me. I sing to you, you sing to me. Change up this noise and make sweet harmony. Come on and rise, oh rise, Spirit, rise up, rise in me, oh rise, Spirit, rise up, rise in me, rise in me. Heart to heart, hand in hand, no turning back, onward to promised land. Do you feel the power of 1,000 suns lighting up the dark? Oh, we rise as one. Come on and rise. Oh, rise. Come on and rise up. Rise in me. Oh, rise. Oh, rise. Come on and rise. Rise in me. Come on and rise. Oh, rise. Rise. Rise up. Rise in me. Rise. Oh, rise. Come on and rise. Rise up. In me.
That's a concert right here in the middle of a service. Or a service broke out in the middle of a concert. One or the other. All right, this is what we do. We're thankful for these tithes and treasures. We promise to use them with integrity. We promise to use them for the benefit of Unity of Pasadena and this surrounding community, the peoples that are in need of a consciousness that lifts them higher, and we rise with them. For all rising tides bring all boats up. We see that, we feel it, we know it. We hold that green bough in our minds and hearts, knowing that the singing bird will arrive. And so it is. Amen. Thank you. Thank you. All right, now we get to do a couple of things that require us to stand up. Would you like to do that? We're up and down, up and down, up and down. Exactly. So we're first going to do the silent unity prayer for protection, and then we're going to sing a song. What song are we going to sing?
I Choose Love.
I Choose Love we're going to sing. All right, well, that's a good choice. And that's exactly what Jesus had us do in this whole process, so thank you for that. So please join me. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever I am, God is. I am divine, and all is well.
Peace in my life is growing because I choose love. Love's always present, it's what I made of. I choose love. We are a part of each other. We are one tie that binds us that can't be undone. I choose love. Peace for our planet is growing because I choose love. Let love be present, it's what we're made of. I choose love. We are all part of each other. We are one. One choice unites us. Let this be the one.